Good morning, it's May 29th. Have nothing spectacular planned today, just Saturdays I tend to just take a stroll down in the Lakeview side of the river, so I think that's what I'll do today. Beautiful morning. Already got an unstable internet connection. Oh, there's something I forgot to do. Okay, as I was saying, it's May 29th. It's a beautiful May morning here in Regina, Saskatchewan. And I am taking a stroll with you, whoever happens to find this, on Facebook or YouTube. Assuming there's sound on Facebook, which there may or may not be. Let me know if you're there and you can hear me. So first order of business is to get across the river. It's a Saturday, so we've got our usual Saturday shopping to do later on today. I don't have a podcast this week, so I'm free of that. Did a bunch of Kickstarter stuff yesterday and finally got out the links to the ebook extravaganzas that my authors provided. If you're just joining me, I host a podcast called The World Shapers, which you can find at theworldshapers.com, where I interview other science fiction and fantasy authors. Hi, Wendy. Is there sound on Facebook? I hope so. Where I interview other science fiction and fantasy authors about their creative process. And last year I kickstarted an anthology featuring fiction from my first year guests, and that went so well. It's called Shapers of Worlds. It's available everywhere books are sold. That I did another Kickstarter. Oh, somebody else there. Hello, Bonnie. Good morning. As I walk into the wind. Did another Kickstarter this year, and Shapers of Worlds Volume 2 will be coming out. Yes, I have sound on Facebook. Good to know. And hopefully the YouTube feed stays up for the entire walk, because it's been failing once or twice, depending on where I am in the city. Anyway, so part of that Kickstarter for Volume 2 was a collection of ebooks from my authors that I'd have in the anthology, and I finally got those pulled together and made them available to the people who had backed at a level to get those. That's cool. A lot of other rewards have gone out already. I have some of my own to deliver. A lot of books I have to mail. I confess I've been putting that off a bit because it's a big task, but it needs to be done. Technically, in the Kickstarter, I didn't promise anything till October, but I don't want to take that long for the stuff that I can already send out. That's really for the anthology itself. Will probably be going out in October, and it's shipped out by the printer. So heading up Cameron Street here to our ever-popular footbridge. Oh, I don't know what they're doing over there. There's a ladder involved. One of these new houses over here. I'm just walking down the middle of the street. There's more people over there. I'll move over here. It's about, I don't know what the temperature was. Oh, somebody else said good morning. Oh, Theodore, hello. From Cyprus. Wow, positively. Knasolov, hello. Positively crowded here on the walk this morning, by my standards. Yeah, Good idea walking down this side. There appears to be a big pile of dirt on the other side. What are the otter houses along here? It's very blank on this side. Rear windows. Clearly some architect's dream house, I guess. I apologize for any buffering along the way. I have no control over it, of course. If YouTube fails completely, I will restart the feed immediately, assuming I see the message that tells me it has failed. Hopefully it won't today. I'm working away on this big one over here. So the neighborhood is a mixture of old houses and brand new ones. Been going like that for quite a few years now. I used to live just one block over from here. Of course, I still live in the neighborhood, but I used to live really in the neighborhood, just a block over. Footbridge to get us over Wascana Creek. I also got I don't know, maybe 2,000 words on The Tangled Stars, my next novel for Daw Books, yesterday. Big scene, rather violent scene. Those are always fun to write. There's the creek. Looking east and looking west. Mondays are when I walk along the creek. Fridays I walk around the lake. The other days are up for grabs, but Saturdays I've tended to do this kind of stroll over into Lakeview, which is called Lakeview even though there is no actual view of the lake for almost anybody there. Okay, now I have to decide what pattern to follow. I think I will zag to the right to start with. Maybe go 2 blocks down Regina Avenue and this is Regina Avenue. For some reason I seem to be pointing off in the... I still don't understand, despite having used it for quite a while now, exactly how the gimbal decides where things are supposed to be pointing. It seems to react to movements you make, like to look down the creek or whatever, and then it decides that what was the center isn't the center anymore, and it's gonna go off to the left or the right. Oh, wait. What type of vaccine do I have? I got the AstraZeneca. Pfizer is what they're giving now. Our daughter got the Pfizer. I guess we have Moderna in the province too. Thought I was going to hit my head on the bridge. It can be very misleading because of the wide-angle nature of the image. When we were watching Walking Commuter, the guy that inspired all this, walking around Manhattan, keep thinking he's going to walk into lampposts and stuff, but he never does. I'm more likely to fall down someday. I've come close on the ice, but the closest I came to falling was the other day on walking after the rain, and I stepped on a patch of wet grass, and that was slipperier than any ice, and I almost fell. Yes, AstraZeneca, we're just waiting for our second shots, which I think we become eligible for in about a month, maybe a little sooner. My wife and I. And Alice had hers, being much younger, had hers much more recently, and she'll be waiting a bit longer for her second shot. Now we start the zigzag. That way I never know exactly where I'm going. Do you know where you're going to? Do you find the things that life has shown you? Is that right? I remember that song from the 70s. Oh, they're coming. Comets are coming so fast. Okay. Trouble is, I can't read very well without my reading glasses, especially in the sometimes bright light. So I often have to stop to read. And I don't know how much delay there is between when I see when you make a comment and when I see it. So it can sometimes be I'm responding to something that might have been quite a while ago. I don't really know. One of our weird traffic island control things I've mentioned before. I guess they're to slow down cars through this neighborhood, but they've been there a long time. And they're only in this neighborhood. So the city at some point thought they were a good idea, but only built a few of them and maybe decided, yeah, maybe not. Big park here, baseball diamond. Another one of the more modern houses in the neighborhood over here I've walked by many times. I kind of like this one. And there's another one right next to it. The white one is a separate house. Obviously built by the same people, or to the same design by the same company. About a minute delay. That's not bad. There's a crosswalk here so I can cross Elphinstone more safely. Well, we'll count this as a zig. It was a little off line from the last road, so I'll make it a zig or a zag. Another modern house here in the corner. Yesterday was my Friday walk around the lake, and then it started raining shortly after I got home, so I missed getting rained on. Didn't rain very much, but I would have gotten wet if I'd still been out. Now, I've occasionally had a bad signal over in this neighborhood, so hopefully that doesn't happen today. I did 3 podcast interviews this week. Really ate into my writing time. So this coming week, I'm really hoping I can pick up the pace. And things are opening up a bit more. I might actually go out somewhere and sit and write like I've always preferred to do. Oh, well, this bush needs trimming, this hedge. I thought I was going to hit my head on the... I would definitely run into those. Everything's very lush and green after the rain last weekend. Morning. sort of heading into the last act, if you like, of the book. I don't really think in terms of acts in books. I know people do, in beats and all that kind of movie screenwriting, even playwriting talk. And I suppose, yes, you could break any book down that way, but I don't think of it that way when I'm writing it. I just write it. And maybe I'd be a more famous writer if I used that more analytical approach, but I've been doing it for 40 years now, so I don't think I'm going to change my way of working just yet. Oh, well, this will take us by the Greek Orthodox Church over here, where the only times I've been in there, I've never been in the auditorium, or the sanctuary, or whatever they call it. But I've been in the basement because at Christmas time, the ladies at the church have a bake sale, and we bought baklava and other gooey treats there at Christmas time. So this will take us right by it here. I've walked down this street, so maybe I'll go one more block over just to take us by the front of the church, and just because I haven't gone down this way before. St. Paul's Greek Orthodox Church. There are a few Orthodox churches, not all Greek. Ukrainian Orthodox probably more, because a lot of Ukrainians. Here's the front. A lot of Ukrainians in Saskatchewan. Yeah, well, this is a new street. I haven't walked down, so that's good, except I'm getting unstable internet. Saw the Greek flag, yeah. A lot of Greeks here. A lot of Greek restaurants and many other restaurants that aren't Greek but are run by Greeks. So there's a strong Greek community here. As I'd mentioned, walking over the bridge, the Albert Street Bridge, a few weeks ago, the flags on the bridge were the Union Jack and the Greek flag, and best guess was it had something to do with Prince Philip, but it was before he died. So I don't know if it was, and I've been trying to remember when his birthday was, if he celebrated a birthday not too long before he died. So, or if it was just in honor of the Greek community here. I don't know. I don't even know where you find out. You'd think the city would have some place that would tell you what the flags are in honor of, and maybe they do, but Queen Street. We're going to keep walking this way till we get to Pascot. Zigzagging in this direction. Well, I have walked by this house before. You don't forget this one. It's a fairly unusual house. Oh yeah, there's no sidewalk. That's what I remember about this street. You don't see a lot of black houses. Interesting. And the yard and the garage is also black. Getting quite warm in the sun. Wearing a sweater I probably should have just worn. Starting to lose our flowers. There's going to be a lot more in the ground. Now there's Lakeview Par 3 golf course. It's the next thing we'll encounter up here. Along with unstable internet. Sorry about that. If you're watching the replay, the recording, that won't bother you, but the rest of you are probably getting buffering and maybe not even hearing what I'm saying. I'm just keeping an eye out in case the YouTube feed goes down. Okay, well, the unstable internet warning went away. I hope everybody's still there. That's sticking with me on this walk. So that's the Lakeview Par 3 golf course in front of us. I won't walk through there because quite likely people are playing golf. Not that I see anybody, but I would expect them to be. So we will just walk down this way for now. You can hear Pasqua and Louvain over there. Louvain is the much faster north-south route. It's got an 80-kilometer-an-hour speed limit, whereas everything along here is 50. That's the normal speed limit inside Regina. Keep meaning to do an alley walk through the alleys instead of on the main streets. You see a lot of recycle bins that way and garages. It'd be different. There's the golf course over there. Extends for quite a ways, as you would expect. Yep, should have gone with shirt sleeves. I knew that too, but I didn't. Well, I thought it might be cloudier and windier than it's actually feeling. Lilacs. Our lilac bushes have lilacs too, but ours are old and scraggly, and the lilacs are way up at the top, and especially the one in the back is about 2 stories tall, so you can see the lilacs from the second floor. You have to look up to see them from the ground. Still no way to zig over here, but that's coming up at the next intersection. School, presumably, I think. Oh no, I know where that is. Well, that may be a school, but that's the Seventh-day Adventist church over there. That's where we are, Hill Avenue. So I've walked the other way on Hill, coming back from Pasqua, and now we're going to walk towards Pasqua along Hill. So that's the Seventh-day Adventist church over there. So they'll be having services. I don't know if they're having them in person yet. Might be online. That's a fire station over there. I've been in here. It wasn't for a Seventh-day Adventist service. Never been to a Seventh-day Adventist service. Then there's another church over there. Redeemer. What denomination it is. Oh, another note. Well, that would make sense. Greek Independence Day on the 25th of March. That would have been about when they were flying for sure. Well, thanks. Now I know. Redeemer Reformation Church. I like that building. It's interesting. I like to walk out to Pasqua because then you can look out past the trees. All of these were planted by somebody, and see what our landscape really looks like, which is, well, when I drew editorial cartoons for the Wayward Review, all you have to do to indicate Saskatchewan is draw a straight line to represent the horizon, scribble in a few trees to show, you know, farmyards, and maybe a grain elevator. And there's your Saskatchewan landscape. And the grain elevators are mostly going, the old-fashioned ones. They were boxy and wooden and very distinctive, entirely functional, you know, not designed to be architecturally interesting, and yet they became a landscape, part of the landscape. Of course, the funny thing was when we moved up here from Texas, I mean, we had elevators, but they didn't look like that. And this road is closed, but I think I can walk along it. I would see these wooden structures, tall wooden structures, and they said pool on the side of them, which stood for Saskatchewan Wheat Pool, which is a wheat, you know, marketing cooperative, I guess you'd call it. It was. It's now a company called Matera. But being 8 years old, I thought there must be swimming pools inside these things, and I couldn't figure out, because, you know, they're several stories tall and they're square, and I thought, wow, that must be a really deep pool. I don't know when I found out the difference. There were a number of things like that moving up here from Texas. Finding out what curling was. It's a sport. It's not something you do to your hair. Well, it is something you do to your hair, but it's also a sport. And you use brooms and you sweep. You do what? To what? What? Later, of course, curling was one of our sports in high school. Phys ed, so. Don't step on the sod. We could use fresh sod in our yard. I wonder if I could just pick some up and carry it home. Probably not practical. LIDL, I don't even know what that is in Regina. I have no idea what that is, so I would say no. Or if we do, it has not impacted me. Oh, there's the community garden. Oh, good. We'll go through there. Always a nice walk into there. So there's a path into it up here, which will be our next zig. Grow Regina community garden with the Vic Sikansky is a local artist, and that's one of his pieces there. That's guarding the entrance. Oops. One stake in all that space, and I managed to trip over it. So this is the community garden. People out here working today. And this is the lovely gazebo by Vic Sikansky that was recently installed, that I've been in a few times now. So it's quite nice with the pillars have the branches, and then you can see there's a pattern of leaves in the canopy, and then the various vegetables around the bottom here. So you get tomatoes and beans or peas, turnips, I guess. And peas over here. Oh, supermarket. No, that's not a supermarket we have here. We've got Safeway and Superstore, which are possibly both owned by Loblaws, and Save On Foods, kind of our big ones. So this will be prettier and prettier as I keep coming this way during the summer. Everything is still just starting to grow. I mean, we had frost this week, so you know. Now, where did this bring me out? Looks like I'll be in an alley. Oh, that's okay. No, I don't even get into an alley. There must be something behind behind that fence. No, I think I'm trapped if I go that way. So we'll go back to the road. No, the gazebo was installed a month or so ago, so it's completed. And the idea is that there'll be more events taking use of it as we go forward. I have no idea what this building is. Looks like a church. Haven't seen a sign yet. Ah, St. Mark's Lutheran. There we go. And back onto, they're still putting in sod because they put in a new sidewalk. It tore up the grass along here, so it looks like they're replacing it. There is an alley here, but it looked to me like it would have, it's blocked off down at the other end. Oh yeah, it doesn't go through. Okay, not an alley, that's the driveway for the parking lot. Okay, once more to the right. Getting closer and closer to Pasqua. On McPhail now. You can see the edge of town out there. Where the trees end. And the cars are going by on the Louvain, which I talked about, the higher speed north-south road down the west side of the city here. There is stuff on the other side of the Louvain. There didn't used to be much, but there's more now. There's a whole development called Harbour Landing with all kinds of big box stores and lots of apartments. I've never walked over there. I would want to drive into that neighborhood and then walk around there, which I might do one of these days. Tomorrow I think I'll either do University of Regina or Douglas Park with the walk by the Saskatchewan Science Centre where I used to work in the old powerhouse building. So I might do that tomorrow, which would also take us along the lake again, the west end of the lake, and up the, what they call the hill. There's a huge landfill hill. Some of it is dirt from the bottom of the lake when they deepened it a few years ago, which would have a really nice view from the top. So I might go there tomorrow. It'll be really warm tomorrow and for the next couple of days, so I will stop wearing my sweater when I walk, that's for sure. All right, closer and closer to Pasqua Street. And a view of the prairie, somewhat. Actually, I guess the cars are actually on Pasqua. Blue van's further. The sun's on the screen at the moment. I can't really read whatever is there at the moment. And it's dimming up again. Tired of pointing at palm trees everywhere. Yeah, we don't have that problem here. If you see a palm tree, it lives in the greenhouse and they only bring it out in the summertime. It'd be a potted palm. Oh, fighting the wind now that the prairie's right in front of us. Pasqua Street is on this side of that fence, and then Blue Van is where the cars are zipping by. You can see the airport's over there in the distance. This is a bit misleading because there is a rise of land on the other side of the Blue Van, so you're not really seeing the horizon, but that is what it looks like. Flat and no trees. It's a bit misleading. So probably a runway on the other side of that, actually. I used to go to this gym years ago. Or something else. So that's all new development over there. Just a few years old. Sidewalks along Pasqua Street. One reason I don't walk along here very much. Harbor Landing, and it goes on for a ways over there. Why is it called Harbor Landing? Nobody knows. There's no harbor. There's landings from the airport, but no harbor. Oh, I guess it has a couple of small lakes, man-made lakes as part of the development, but you hardly need harbors. Go in this parking lot just to avoid the mud. All of this stuff is pretty new too in just the last few years. All of these small. So it's a lot of doctors' offices and things along here. Professional offices. Well, that's what I want. So, it's still not a street, that's just an alley, so let's stay up here. In front of the dentist's office. Another note. rabbit fur on the mic? No, I have a small cotton ball with a piece of tape. It's the best I can do. I have another mic coming, a lapel mic, which I hope will mitigate some of the wind noise. Okay, we'll go over here now. So again, just little shops and stuff. I should have that in a week or two. And it'll be useful for many things. I'm only concerned about it as if I'll lose some of the ambient sound, like birdsong and stuff. But if it cuts down on the wind noise, probably worth it. There have been other occasions when it would have been nice to have a better mic while recording something on the iPhone. So I hope that'll be useful not just for this, but for other reasons. Yes, it's a tour of parking lots at the moment. Sorry about that. I'm looking for a road, and I think that's in front of us. So we'll turn left and start wending our way back into the trees. There's no sidewalks here. So I'll have to walk through the grass. At least for a block or two. So there's looking out at Harbour Landing, the new development out there. In the edge of town. It's SGI there. Saskatchewan Government Insurance. I'll go a couple of blocks this way and then I will start zigzagging back again to head home. I'm on 25th, which is quite a way south, so this is going to be one of my longer walks by the time we get back. That's the rugby club over there. And the rugby field. Never played rugby. Never watched it much either. But they seem to have a fairly thriving club here with a nice facility, and nice field, and some bleachers. Well, this is new. I haven't walked along here before, so I haven't repeated myself entirely today. I realize that most people don't walk with me on every walk and haven't seen everything I've walked, so yet I always feel bad about repeating a path, which is silly. Even the guy in Manhattan, walking commuter that we liked, that kind of inspired this, constantly repeating his walks along the East River through Central Park, over the Brooklyn Bridge on one occasion I remember watching. Okay, we will turn north again. Say goodbye to the rugby field. Fields? More than one over there. And back up Queen. It's a very broad street. Let's see which way the dog's going there. This is Van Horn, which of course would be named after William Van Horn, the head of the Canadian Pacific Railway when it was built and extended from coast to coast. If you'd like to read good books about Canadian history, read Pierre Berton's The National Dream and whatever the other one was. There's two of them all about the National Dream is the one about the building of the railway. Transcontinental Canadian Pacific Railway. I'm hoping the new lapel mic will actually come with a windsock of some sort. Probably does. I just can't remember from the description. At least a foam cap. They actually call those fur ones dead cats, at least on big microphones. Which, being a cat lover, I find that offensive. I found this picture yesterday on the internet. Picture of a hole, a post hole with no post in it, and the caption was, "This post has been removed because it might cause offense," which I thought was funny. Still not seeing a lot of flowers. The next few weeks there'll start to be flowers, people's gardens and all that nice stuff. Trees have flowered and starting to unflower. Caragana bushes, which we have in our front yard, have some little yellow flowers on them. When I was a kid, I thought they were honeysuckle, but they're not. We had honeysuckle in Texas. These were Caragana bushes. And not the same species, but you could still pull the little flowers off and get a touch of sweetness from them. Very warm when I hit the sun, or when the sun hits me. Should have gone in shirt sleeves and probably shorts. Time to switch back to shorts. I was wearing them for a while. We had all that warm weather, and then all of a sudden it was close to freezing again, or below. Some people, you see people wearing shorts in the middle of the winter here, but that's just stupid. I know your legs aren't as sensitive to cold as, say, your cheeks, but still. Although I suppose women in dresses have put up with it for years. But they're tougher than men. Where are we? McTavish Street. It's a little short zig. It's only a half block. Home, have some more coffee. I had coffee before I came out. Toronto Maple Leafs flag on that house. I never got into hockey. We moved up here too late. I was 8. I couldn't skate, and I had flat feet, so even when I could skate, I couldn't skate very well. Skating was uncomfortable and unpleasant, much as I would have liked to have been better at it. So I never played hockey, and never really got into watching it either. Sometimes our school team I would watch. My friend was a goalie, but so part of the immigrant experience. Because people don't think of me that way, but I am in fact, of course, an immigrant. And there was considerable culture shock coming up here from Texas in the 60s at the age of 8. And I was not a very happy immigrant child. I didn't fit in, got teased. I wouldn't go so far as to say I got bullied, but certainly teased for my accent. So it took me a while to warm up to Canada, so to speak. But I'm a dual citizen now, American and Canadian. And I usually feel Canadian when I'm in the States and American up here half the time, so still don't fit in. Maybe why I became a science fiction writer. A lot of science fiction writers are kind of misfits. Well, very dry down there in the flood control ditch at the moment. That's not exactly scenic. All right, this will take us into this park I've walked through before. I really have walked much further than I normally do on a day like this. How long have I been walking? Yeah, 52 minutes. This will be well over an hour before I get home. Well over an hour. I walked along this piece of path though, so again, this is new. I've come through this park in a variety of ways, but have not actually walked here until now. There were people with me when I started, probably aren't with me anymore. If you've just found it and you're on YouTube or Facebook, you can leave a comment and I will see it. Somewhat delayed, but I will see it. It's always interesting to get back and check the statistics, and I'll find out that only one person said hello, but 15 people were watching on between Facebook and YouTube or something like that. I delete the live stream once I posted the recording, because I don't see the point in having both of them up. And the live streaming usually has buffering, or in some cases there are two of them because it failed halfway through. All right, well, I guess I'm going to stick to my zigzagging guns. I take this path here to the right. Yeah, I can see comments, but the sun is such that I can't read them at the moment, so I'll have to wait till I find some shade. This is quite a large park. There's a soccer field there, swings, playground. Oh, stepped in a rut. There's a to the left I can take. Just gonna stay in the park. Or maybe I'll find some shade where I can read the comments that I can see there but can't read. maybe I can read them here up against a darker background, a little bit of shade. Rhea, do I prefer Ed or Edward? Ed. Hi, Rhea. And I can't read. Don't worry. We are from Bulgaria and are from 13 years old in Cyprus, and it's the same thing, talking about being an immigrant. No, and I don't want to overstate it. I mean, it's just kids being kids. They thought I talked funny because I was Texan. I thought they were funny because they had weird interests and beliefs, and I said words funny too. And I skipped a grade. I skipped grade 1, so I was, and had a summer birthday as well. So I was like 18 months younger sometimes than the other people in my class. So that didn't help. And if I may brag slightly, I was very smart, and I knew it. So that doesn't always make you appreciated by your classmates. I had a note on a report card once that I needed to understand that although I understood the material very quickly, other people were struggling, and I needed to have more sympathy for them, or words to that effect. I like this house over here. I like to see inside it sometimes. It's a big one with this great view over the park, and I like the look of it. So always people walking dogs. I'm a cat person, so I don't have that problem. Shadow paw's not even allowed outside. Got more notes, or one more. Why did my family move from Texas to Canada? My dad was, okay, in Texas, first 4 years we were there after moving there from New Mexico, where I was born. My dad was teaching at Lubbock Christian High School, and he liked being in a Christian school. But he lost that position, and so he took a job in a public school in Tulia, Texas, about 50 miles south of Amarillo, in the Panhandle, if you want to look it up. And then a friend of his that he'd gone to university with came through town, and they were recruiting for primarily a choir leader, music teacher for Western Christian College, which despite its name is actually a high school in Weyburn. And Dad really wanted to teach in a Christian school again, and his friend had asked him, and so we moved up here in 1967 when I was 8 years old. I had just turned 8 the month before we got here. Mom always said she almost told him to turn around and go back again because the school was in a former Commonwealth Air Training Command base. So basically old Army barracks, not Army, but Air Force, at the airport outside Weyburn, and they hadn't been painted in years, and it was August, so the grass was all brown and the fields were brown. Well, there was wheat, but you know, just the ordinary weeds were kind of brown and dry looking, and it just did not look like a nice place to live. But we stayed, and then they ended up living in Weyburn the rest of their lives. So first time they'd really stuck anywhere like that. They'd always moved around a lot. So I grew up in Weyburn and went to school in Arkansas, Harding University, Christian college, affiliated with Churches of Christ, which is what I grew up in. And then I got my degree in journalism at the ripe old age of 20 because not only did I have that skipping a grade thing, but I had some of my grade 12 credits from Saskatchewan actually transferred as university credits to Arkansas. So I only spent 2.5 years in university. I was 20 years old, graduated with my degree in journalism, started immediately to work as a newspaper reporter and photographer at the Weyburn Review. Was news editor there 4 years later at the age of 24. Was news editor for 4 years in my mid to late 20s, and then came to Saskatchewan and came to Regina in 1988 as communications officer for the Saskatchewan Science Centre, which I'm hoping to walk by tomorrow. This is St. Luke's Anglican Church. I've rehearsed many a show in their fellowship hall here. That was my life story in a nutshell. And I see there's a comment, but I can't read it in the sun. I love these giant Lego blocks. Wouldn't want to step on one of those in the dark if you were a giant. This is the Hill Avenue shopping strip. Restaurants and dentures and kitchen supplies and flowers, drugstore, and a small grocery store. So everything you need, plus your 7-Eleven over here for your big gulp requirements. Let's see if I can read in the shade here. Oh, I guess that wasn't new. Okay. Okay. Whoop. Oof. Getting closer. We'll keep zigzagging over to Cameron, and then we'll go straight south on it to get us to the footbridge again. There's the little grocery store. I haven't shopped in there very often. Getting closer, still probably 15 minutes from home. I did make this one longer than I thought I was going to. Because I had people walking with me and I was talking to people along the way, so it made the time go faster, I guess. So I was surprised when I realized I'd walked all the way down to 25th. Now, I'm definitely repeating my walk as I go along here. Oof! That one's been re-stuccoed. I think it's an older house that's been extensively redone. Nice tall spruce. We have spruce not quite that big in our front yard, and one of them lost about 15 feet off the top of it in a windstorm a few years ago. Fortunately, it didn't land on anything except the ground. $15 feet, 12 feet, something like that. I didn't really measure it. Nope, another note. How far is Regina Beach from here? I've hardly ever been out there, but it would be an hour maybe. Probably less, 45 minutes. I'm not a beach person myself. Yeah, okay, I'm in the water, but there's nothing to read. That's kind of my reaction to the beach. And yeah, you can read on the beach, but it's hot and there's sand and little kids screaming. And so I know there's a great appeal in it for people, but it's never been something that appealed to me all that much. Oh, it's fun to go once in a blue moon. And the ocean is more interesting than the lake. Obviously. And that's all Regina Beach is an artificial sand beach next to a lake in the Capel Valley. Oh, there's another note. Beautiful day, says Gary. Yes, it is. It's interesting too, when I watch the recordings of these, the recording actually looks more colorful in a way than my eye registers it. I don't know if the saturation is turned up a little bit by default, or it's just a difference between the camera and your eye. And then the, because what you're seeing is digital electronic signals that have been translated into various other signals that eventually light up pixels on your TV. So it's completely different from what your eye's doing. So that always looks really great on a sunny day. Sunny day. There's a song there too. Everything's a song cue. Let's walk through a web of some sort. Probably a cankerworm, because they bungee jump from the trees, those larvae. And we must be getting close to that time. Oh. I smell wood smoke. Oh, another note. Me too, but we live 5 minutes from the Mediterranean Sea, and the summer season is 8 months, so yeah. Well, I suspect if I lived closer to the ocean, I would have been more of a beach person. Actually, I shouldn't say I don't like the beach. I love the beach if you're sitting like on the deck of a seashore restaurant with a glass of wine looking out over the rolling waves. Perfect. It's kind of like, I love going to Banff, but sure, walking in the woods is fun, but sitting in the Banff Springs Hotel lobby bar with a beer in my laptop, riding and looking out over the Bow River. Now that's my idea of the wilderness adventure. Okay, the next street will take us straight down to the footbridge. This is McCallum we're on now. Of course, we were on Hill earlier, and McCallum and Hill were the two big real estate developers in the early part of the Regina's history. At one point, there was a big building downtown, the McCallum Hill building, but it was imploded to make way for the twin towers that are there now. And they added a third tower, so it's 3 towers. Now, don't get New York, they're not New York-sized towers, they're like, I don't know, 18 stories, maybe 20 tops. This one's been going up, one with a lot of glass, as I often comment. Lakeview School over here. Dogs, there's always dogs. Handsome dogs. So Lakeview School here is one of the older schools. I'm sure it's well over 100 years now. I think it was probably built in 1914 or thereabouts. I like the brickwork on it. One more block to the creek, the bridge, and then about 3-4 blocks home. What's that one? They're more like sheep. Yeah, they did kind of. Dog like that is great in the wintertime, but you got to think they are uncomfortably warm in the summer. That much fur. I'm uncomfortably warm in the summer and I have no fur except on the top of my head. A couple of the more modern houses in the neighborhood. And you have these really small original houses, like that's tiny. At least in the front. It might go back further than it looks. Yes, it does. And then you have some newer ones like that, which are a bit more in the same sort of design as the older ones. And the older ones that have been redone fairly recently. Another little one over there. I don't know when this neighborhood was first. Well, fairly early. Lakeview was one of the oldest neighborhoods, especially up over by Albert Street. But it was a very Tony neighborhood, so there's lots of big houses along Albert Street. But it probably spread this way fairly early on. I know I mentioned earlier, much earlier, because this has been a long walk, that I lived on Garnet Street, a block over from where, a block over from Cameron, once we get across the bridge here. And my house was built right after the war, 1918, First World War. I lived in there. So these must be from that, more or less that same vintage, or a bit earlier, the little ones here. Over the bridge, I'll have to slow down or I'll be passing them. There's the creek again. Can't go over a bridge without showing the creek on both sides. I'll go along the dike this time because I didn't coming to the bridge. Become a green tunnel now. Back in the winter you can sort of see the creek through the trees to the right. What's that one? You're welcome to both you and Aslov. Glad you found it relaxing. I'm glad the feed stayed up. Getting that unstable internet again right now. I often get it along here. So maybe I won't stay on the dike. I'll take the first steps down. Be ashamed for it to run out before we quite got to the end here. Yes, this tree was so beautiful just last week. Still had flowers on it. They're gone. I don't even see them on the ground. I don't know where they went when they fell off. How long have I walked? 1:17. Oh, at least with the bit of shade, it's refreshing in the breeze now. Just a couple of more blocks. As usual, I find an hour is great. As it goes by an hour, I start to think, I'm kind of ready for this walk to be over. So I'm ready for this walk to be over. And now it's done, and I don't have to worry about it later in the day when we're doing grocery shopping and such like. Oh, there's some flowers starting to show up. There's Metallic. 2 blocks north, and we're at my stop sign that I usually stop these at when I'm coming from this direction. So if you're there and haven't said hello yet, this is your last chance. I always point out this house because I like the entrance, a little Bavarian tower there, some white lilacs. Oh, they're finally fixing that gap in the sidewalk up here that I've had to walk over a few times. I clearly can't keep going on this side of the street. One block to go. Yes, looks like they're planning to fix this, which had clearly been dug out probably for a water connection to be repaired. Another big hole here. There's our stop sign up there, so just about to call this quits. Thanks to everybody who walked along with me probably part of the way or the whole way. Yes, well, I've walked in a lot of different weather now. Snow, a little bit of rain. I walked when it was spitting rain. I won't walk if it's pouring rain because the gimbal's not waterproof. And neither am I. Actually, I am kind of, but you know. So again, thanks for walking with me, and I'll be back tomorrow.